South Korea is quickly becoming a leader in sustainable fashion. Brands have discovered ways to integrate style and luxury without sacrificing sustainability. Eclatto is one of these innovative brands. The brand aims to help shift consumers to sustainable lifestyles through their eco-friendly bags. Ecolato has also designed their own sustainable textiles to make a positive environmental impact. Please welcome Ji-sun Yoon, the director of Ecolato. Hello, thank you for joining us today. I'm thrilled to have you on our show.
Thank you for inviting me and having me here. Hello, everyone.
And so the first question I'd like to ask you is, could you please share a little bit about your background?
Okay. Hello, nice to meet you. This is Ji-sun, the director of the eco-friendly lifestyle brand Eclatto. I'm a social entrepreneur and I co-founded my company and companion about 5 years ago. But actually, before that, I never imagined myself starting up a company or doing business. I majored in clothing and textiles for undergrad. And then I started my career as a fashion merchandiser at Samsung Jewel Industries. And I liked my work there and it was my dream job. But after working there for several years, I had some doubt about my work because I put a lot of effort and time in my work. Back then, I worked very long hours. But in the end, the final result of my work was only the revenue and profit for the brand. And I felt that there was no social value or meaning in there. So I decided to quit my job and then went over to the US to pursue a master's degree in international business. There, I first learned about social enterprises and it inspired me a lot. So after returning to Korea, I started my new career at a social innovation consultancy called MISC. And then finally, I ended up co-founding my company with my husband. And we focused on training and consulting services for social venture startups. And in the beginning, our mission or goal was to help young people start up their businesses based on their own identity and creativity.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's really fascinating. That's a long journey that you've had. And so where are you with the social enterprise business? Are you still working on it or is it still under development?
Our major area of business, field of business when we started was this training and consulting for social ventures. And then after starting this fashion business, the focus is more on fashion, but we still continue to do that. It's kind of related.
I see. And so then when did you start your brand?
Okay, so it's been a little over 2 years now, and I can explain the background. So after working on projects related to social venture, consulting, and training for about almost 2 years, we felt the need to build experience on running business on our own, like running business with a concrete business item. We felt that in that way we could create social impact more directly and scale up our business. And also with that experience, we'll be able to provide more in-depth consulting services for other teams as well. Otherwise, we could just only continue to do just consulting for only early stage startups.
I see.
So we needed the experience as well. And just about at that period, we discovered these new plant-based leather materials coming up in the market. And I was very, very inspired by these materials. So looking at those materials, I felt that just by changing the materials of the ordinary items we use in our daily lives, like bags or wallets, we can create environmental impact. And I had left the fashion industry before because I felt that it didn't have any social good or meaning for the society. But I still loved fashion. So looking at those materials, I thought that, maybe by using those materials, maybe I might be able to do something good with fashion finally. So that's how we got to start the brand.
Okay, wow. Okay, that's really great. And so do you feel like you've accomplished that goal of?
Yes, for that part, definitely yes. But it's still a difficult journey and we need to do more work to scale up our environmental impact. And in that way, that can have more meaning and it's still a long journey to go.
Could you please explain more about the environmental impact that you just referred to?
Yes. So for instance, by using eco-friendly materials compared to traditional materials, we can reduce carbon emissions and so on. And in order to increase that impact, we have to be able to use more of those materials. So we need to scale up our business in order to make more environmental impact.
Okay. I think I understand what you're saying. In order to make a bigger impact, you want these materials to be used in fashion more than, for example, other types of materials that may not be as sustainable.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a huge challenge because, as you know, the eco-friendly, the sustainability industry has been growing, but I think that many people still are not completely convinced by it. So that's also, I'm sure, a challenge that you have to face in your business. If you could share a little bit about that.
Yes, so actually that's something that I'm thinking a lot about these days. So because I'm in this sustainable fashion business, thinking about eco-friendly materials all the time, I was kind of like thinking in a small scope. But in terms of just regular people, among those regular people who are really interested in these like eco-friendly materials or environmental issues are really very, very a small portion of people. So we need to be able to fill the other needs of the customers first in order to be able to scale up our brand and then therefore increase the environmental impact that we want to.
Right. Right. I totally understand what you're saying because from what I've learned is some consumers making a difference in the environment and buying products that are eco-friendly is their number one choice, but that's not the case for every consumer. And so some of them choose style and design first or the price. You have to maybe do different things to target these other customers in order to bring them in, which isn't an easy thing to do. And so are there different ways that you've done that or are there ways that you plan on doing that?
So for us, since we are a fashion brand anyways, I think it's most important to be able to appeal to customers as a good fashion brand.
Okay.
Good fashion brand meaning good design, good quality for price and things like that. These are the basics, but not easy. Yeah.
Right.
So these days we're thinking about how to upgrade our brand in terms of these aspects in order to be able to meet more customers who may not be that interested in environmental issues.
Okay. Yeah, it's a huge challenge, I think, for any designer or CEO to tackle. So I know one of the ways that your company has been the desire to make a greater impact is you've developed your own material called PLA. Could you share a little bit about that?
So PLA, it's the abbreviation of polylactic acid, and it's a type of a biopolymer that comes from starch of corn or sugarcane. It's 100% bio, so it's biodegradable under certain conditions, and it has antibacterial properties, and it creates less carbon in the production phase compared to other synthetic fibers, and it also does not produce any microplastics. So it's an eco-friendly material. We developed the PLA woven fabric specialized for fashion accessories like bags, and branded it as Plana Zero. And currently, the majority of fabrics in the sustainable fashion market is recycled polyester or nylon. And as a second mover in the field, we thought that there would not be much meaning in developing a similar one, but we wanted to develop a more eco-friendly option. So that's why we chose PLA.
I see. And so that was inspiration or the desire to develop this material. And so could you share a little bit about the process of developing this material?
It's quite interesting, and it was partly by coincidence. So JJ, our CEO, he's more of a visionary and he always lives in the future. And he was always proclaiming that we have to develop our own new eco-friendly material. We will do this and so on. But I'm more of a realistic person. So I was thinking, that's true, but how will we do that? How can we do that? And while we were thinking these things, 2 years ago, he got to visit a textile fair in Daegu. And at that time, at that fair, the big theme was biodegradable materials, and there were many new PLA materials introduced. So we were lucky to be able to find a good partner to work with us at the fair. So Since then, we partner with this company to try out new samples and develop several types of this material.
Okay, wow. Yeah, that's really great to hear. That must have been a really challenging but inspiring and exciting to develop. And so, how long did it take you to develop this material?
So, in general, to develop one sample roll fabric, it takes about 45 days
Okay.
because there are many processes to go through, from the selection of the yarn to the final finishing. There are many processes, and the whole process was very challenging because it's a new material.
Right.
No one has tried anything about this so far.
Right.
So we had to go through many trials and errors.
Okay.
And so, what was the period of starting the process to having the finished?
So actually, for our first sample material, so it took about 45 or 50 days to develop the first roll, and then we made it into a product right away. This navy and gray two-tone color fabric, this was the first version.
Okay.
And at that time, we were in part of a support program for crowdfunding, and we had a deadline, so that kind of helped us hurry on to produce a product out of our new fabric.
Okay. And so then you have another color there.
Yes, we have this one, but this for this one we just made the sample, but and not the main product yet. And
Okay.
now we are still developing some new samples currently.
I see. So it's really two separate products. It's not it's not one material, for example, and then two different colorways.
Yes, so for the first one, we developed this two-tone Oxford fabric in two colorways, and for the second one, a different structure with 2 or 3 colors.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay. And so, what has been the response to these materials by the fashion industry in Korea or the consumers?
So we tried to explain a lot about this new material, but like we said before, for the general public and customers, that is not their number one point of interest or priority. So people just basically look at the color and ask whether it's waterproof or things like that, and whether it's made of PLA or new material is not much of an interest to them. Not as much as I expected, but we try to continue to educate people and explain about this new material as much as we can.
What are your next steps with this material, or what are your future plans?
So actually, PLA compared to general plastic is much more eco-friendly in many aspects. But currently in Korea and also in other parts of the world, there's this dispute about its eco-friendliness because in order to make it biodegradable, you need a composting plant, a separate facility to do that. And not many countries have that, including Korea. So there's this issue in Korea also. So I think in order to be able to sell this fabric to other brands, it would take some more time. And also because the price of the fabric is quite high because it's not popularized yet. So there are still some barriers to overcome in order to actually do B2B business with this fabric. But in the long term, I believe that this is the way that we should go. So we will continue to do research about it and do sampling as we can and try to make products out of it and try to learn more about it in order to make it into a sellable fabric.